Hello and welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast. My name is William Hemsworth. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Well, we continue on in Matthew chapter 7. We're actually almost done. We maybe have 2 or 3 more days in this chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. So we're moving right along. We're making decent progress. So over the past few days, we hear Jesus talking about good and bad fruit. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, knows me, etc. Well, today he moves on to kind of elaborate on that, and he uses the parable of the wise and foolish builders. So what he does, today we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 7, verse 24, which says, Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who builds his house on rock. And this analogy is very important in the time of Jesus, because to build on rock was to build on a solid foundation. It would be like the foundation that our homes are built on today. Later on, probably most likely tomorrow, we're going to see builders building homes on rock and homes on sand. Now, these homes on sand were dry gulches, pretty much in dry streams, where if it rained, there'd be flash floods, and if you built your house on that sand, your house would be taken away. If you built it on rock, which were not in these dry riverbeds, these dry streams, your house would still stand. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail over the next couple days. And it's also important to note that Jesus is not talking about salvation by works, because he says just in the previous verse, in verse 23, implies a relationship of sorts. I never knew you. So it does imply a relationship. It is part of faith is obeying. That's it. So to build on the rock means to be a hearing, responding disciple, and not a fake, not a phony, not someone who's merely playing the part of Christian. Now, practicing obedience to Christ becomes the solid foundation that will help us weather the storms of life. So, today we covered verse 24 in fairly short fashion. Are we building our lives on the rock? Are we building our lives on the rock? Where are we building? Are we building on Christ, or are we building on something else? If we're building on Christ, we're on that rock. We're on that solid foundation. He will help us weather everything that comes to us. He's not promising us an easy life. He's not promising an easy go of it. But he's promising us that he will be there till the end of the age. Or are we building our lives on something else, to where something hard comes up, we're taken downstream? And it's very easy to say that we're Christians in both respects. And let's analyze our hearts today. Where are we building our foundation? Who is our foundation? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Daily Bible Podcast. As always, please email me if you have any feedback, any questions. hopewithin18@gmail.com is the email address. And as always, I thank you so much for listening. God bless you guys. Have a great day.